Hi there. It is a mixed bag day here in the first part of March where I live. I live in Ohio, and this time of year, you never know what you're going to get. Right now, the sun is sort of shining, but there's also some clouds, a lot of wind, and the temperature is very comfortable in the 60s. In a little bit, we're supposed to get some rain, maybe even thunderstorms. So I took a little walk around my property yesterday, and there are a few places around the house where a lot of leaves accumulated over the course of the fall and the winter that didn't get taken care of, to move them away from the house before it got winter. And a few leaves in your flower beds, you honestly can just leave. They'll generally break down, especially as the temperatures warm up and we stop getting so much rain. They'll just crinkle up and turn into kind of a little nutrients for your flower beds. But when you have big kind of clumps and piles, what happens is as we have rain or snow through the winter, it turns into basically a mat that is very thick, very solid. It's not going to break down anytime soon. So I need to get that stuff off of the flower beds. I need to get it away from the house and get the flower beds to where, as we are continuing to get a lot of rain this time of year, we're not creating breeding grounds for some things that we don't want, funguses, bacteria, etc. Now, I know that there's a little controversy. Some people say you should leave all of that kind of cleaning up until much later when it's much warmer, and pollinators and things that might be beneficial that are hibernating or overwintering in those piles have a chance to do what they do when it gets warmer. But I have to balance that with the potential negatives. So there's lots of places for lots of pollinators to continue overwintering because this is Ohio, and it's still very possible and very likely that we'll have some colder weather and things may not be ready to start venturing out. But in the places on a couple sides of the house where I have these big clumps, I need to get them busted up, moved away from the house. I will be trying as best as possible to just sort of like relocate things to the woods so that if things are in there, maybe they can be okay. So anyways, I have a few pieces of equipment. Let me show you what we're going to use. So the equipment that I need for this is this Fiskars reach tight spaces. It's kind of like a little flexible rake from Fiskars. Very, very useful. I really have enjoyed this. I've had it now for many, many years. It's got a full lifetime warranty. I'm not affiliated with them, but I just really like a couple of their products. This is one of them. Another thing I'll be using is my DeWalt, also not an affiliate, I just like it, leaf blower, and I can use it with a really big battery. This, hopefully, one battery charge should last me for what I'm doing, because this is not full scale leaf blowing, lots of leaves away from the house. It's just on a couple sides of the house what I can't get moving out with the rake, or the stuff that's really still light and fluffy to get it out of the way. I might use my Fiskars pop-up bag. I have the one that has the hard shell bottom. It also has been used for several years and is still in great shape. But I'm going to try this time, instead of using that, I'm going to just try using my kangaroo, my gorilla. That's a kangaroo bag. This is a gorilla cart. Another one of those things that I invested in a few years ago. So the kangaroo pop-up bag, the Fiskars rake, very inexpensive. Pretty much anybody could afford that's got gardens that they want to take care of. Those are very low-cost investments. The gorilla cart and the leaf blower, a little bit more of an investment, but I will tell you, this has made its money for me back so many times over the past 5 years. It has like a dump truck action. The handle can be kind of flipped around, and I can hook it on the back of my riding lawnmower and pull it around with me if I need to. It is just a fantastic alternative to a wheelbarrow, much more stable, can be pulled instead of, wheeled with the two handles. So for me doing things by myself, it has been fantastic. So The only other thing that I need are my pruning shears. I happen to have Felcos. They're the Felco 2. Yes, they desperately need cleaned. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to do that soon. And if I do, I'll video it and put it on the channel. So as we go through, there will be a couple places where I'll need to trim down some of the plants that overwintered and get them out of the way so I can get to the leaves. So that's what those are for. And then a pair of gloves, and we'll be ready to go. So let me get set up in the first location and I'll show you what we're doing. All right, I'm gonna try to record my voice, but this wind, I'm probably gonna have to dub it over. So right here you can see I have some calendula that did not get trimmed up and some grasses. This is a blue grama grass. It's got a really neat seed head, kind of looks like little caterpillars. I don't know, the wind's gonna make it where you can see that. But anyways, so this did not get trimmed in the fall to give a place and some food for the overwintering. But as you can see, it's matted with a lot of leaves. So I'm gonna just trim this stuff up and get all this off of the flower bed. And then back here, we have some places around the lilacs where leaves have just clumped up. And I've started pulling away and making some little piles. And so I'm just going to try to get the bulk of these out of here. Leaving a few is fine. That is brittle enough and that will break down. But these big clumps will turn into mats. And I'll show you some places where that has happened on the other side of the house in a minute. But this is what we're going to just use the rake, pile it up into a pile, pick it up, put it in the gorilla cart, take it over and dump it in the woods. So I'll show you what we look like as we go along. Okay, I've got one load full. It was fuller. The wind has blown some of the leaves off, but as long as it blows them into the woods, I'm okay with the wind helping out. So now I'm going to back this up into the edge of the woods where the fall cleanup stuff got dumped, and it's just sort of a junky pile. And then I'm going to, you can see we've had a lot of rain, and this is where water flows through the property. So now I'm just going to pull this little lever and dump. And if it wasn't slightly uphill, this would have all come out. Oh, it's very mucky in here. Okay, so now time to get another load. So let me show you. We got one area kind of cleaned up. Hang on just a second. Okay, you can see here, this is the area with the lilacs. They can breathe now. I have trimmed off all the old growth from the calendula. They have already started pushing new growth. That's what all this green is that you can see. So they can breathe now. To have the old growth trimmed off. Sorry for the wind. I'll dub over if this is too hard to hear. So they can now breathe without the big pile of leaves. You can see I did leave a few leaves scattered here and there. Those are fine. There's minimal amounts. They should break down. Now, we're not done with spring cleanup in this area. This is a snow mound spirea, or maybe bridal wreath. I can't remember. I think it's a snow mound. These are lilacs. We don't trim or prune those in the spring because they are spring blooming. We would prune those if needed after they have bloomed. Same thing with the golden privet. Although the golden privet has been struggling the past couple of years. Last year she was starting to bud up and leaf out and looking beautiful. We got a late cold snap and I think it fried her. But she has already all of these spring blooming shrubs and this crabapple. Let's see if that'll focus there. All of these have started to bud up. So you can see these little nubs. That's where they're getting ready. Here's a better one. You see all those little brown bits? That's where they're getting ready to push out new leaves. These types of shrubs set their flowers in the fall. And so you do not want to prune them in the spring. You'll be cutting off your blooms. There's the crabapple. So these guys are starting to wake up, so hopefully they don't get snapped. Next area is to get the big chunks of leaves out of the area here in front of the porch and clean up some of this perennial stuff from last year and just give this space some room to breathe. I'm contemplating leaving these leaves. These are hydrangeas. They're called the twist and shout variety. They're beautiful lace cap hydrangeas. You can see I didn't take the blooms off in the fall. I left them on there. Sometimes when the snow lands on it in the winter, it makes some nice winter interest. These tend to be very susceptible to late spring frosts because they bloom on both old growth and new growth. So right now, there could be on this old growth some things getting ready to try to, push out leaves and blooms. If we get late frosts after they've really started doing that, basically the plant has to be cut down to the ground and we have fresh growth. That's what this is. This is all fresh growth from last year. We did get, as you can see, still the evidence, lots of blooms. But I'm toying with leaving these leaves to see if it gives the plants a little protection if we get a late frost. So I might try that this year just with these three. But around my hellebores, you can see they're kind of being smothered right now, and they are doing what they're supposed to do this time of year, which is bloom and be the fresh greenery and just look gorgeous. So with these, I just need to clean up the old growth, let all this fresh new stuff be able to breathe and get the leaves from around them. So be back to show you that next step. Okay, I am not going to beat this storm, so let me show you what I mean by the leaves turning into a mat. So this is on the side of the house, and I don't know if this will film very good, but if you can see here, as I move my foot, it's coming off in chunks, and underneath there's mold. So here you can see, maybe that looks, see how that's very flat looking compared to that's kind of fluffy? Underneath that fluffy, it's going to look like that. That's what I need to get cleared away. So that it does not suffocate the soil. And when that is happening around a plant, it's making it harder for the plant to get moisture from the rain. It makes it a little harder for it to breathe. So we want to get that sort of situation. That's what we need to definitely kind of clear away from the flower beds. But the storm's fixing to come in, so this part of the house is going to have to wait, but let me give you a quick look at what we did get done up here in the front. All right, I didn't get the hellebores completely done, but I did get the majority of the leaves around from the base of this one. You can see I did not get it trimmed. This one I did get trimmed, and so it looks a lot healthier. Everything is, for the most part, fresh green growth. I've got the majority of the leaves cleared away from the base. I'm going to leave these leaves on purpose around these hydrangeas. Like I said earlier, I just want to see if it makes it easier for them to hold on to their old growth blooms. This year's been pretty crazy with some kind of cold snaps, so we'll see. But got this majority of leaves cleared away, so now the boxwoods and the mophead cypresses can breathe. Cleaned up this area just a little bit. It doesn't look quite so junky. So the front bed here right in front of the house looking a lot better. And we'll get to the other side. And we'll get to the other side on another day. But thanks for joining me here for some early spring cleanup in Aunt Susan's garden.